Yeah, Venya.
So what's going on?
So what is the other side?
That's a good question. What is the other side? The other side is just whatever your vision for your life is, and you feel like you're not quite there yet. That's what it is. And you're working kind of towards being able to go there and live there. That's the other side.
Right. You mentioned in your song "The Other Side" it happens on the other side of my dream, of your dream,
Mm-hmm.
and you wish you were living there. So I guess what you're really talking about in that song is this division between what we like things to be and how things really are.
Well, yeah, that song specifically is about sort of like not necessarily a relationship yet, but like a romantic interest that you have, and this person is living a completely different life. That's the other side of that specific song. So it's pretty much what I said before, when I answer your first question, but through a lens of kind of like a romantic relationship.
Gotcha. What makes you write songs and publish them? Like, why do this?
I mean, I feel like it's always been kind of like my calling. Like I've always been very musical since very early ages, and music has always been a big part of my life for sure. And just the ability to kind of time travel with music is very fascinating to me. How you can like a song comes on while you're driving or something randomly that you used to listen to in like 2013, and you instantly back there with all the same feelings and emotions and memories and things you've experienced. It all comes back to you. It's like you can take a photo, you can take a video, but I feel like music just goes a little deeper. I don't know, there's something about an emotional connection you make with a song at a certain time in your life that just instantly comes back to you when you hear it again.
And that's what I love about making videos as well, making great content on YouTube. I think music is a big part of the video experience as well.
For sure, yeah, sound, everything is very important, I think. But when it comes to content, I believe I also enjoy the same thing as you, and it's really cool to be able to go back and watch your own content from like 5 years ago, just to see where you were then and what you were thinking, and the changes that happened over time. And it's always very special to just like see the natural progression. And as an artist, I'm pretty sensitive about my stuff, so uh, some of my old songs, I want to delete them every day. I just want to go and take them down every single day. But I stop myself and I'm like, it's really cool because, for me, I have them on my computer. I have everything on my computer. But like for other people to be able to go back and see my natural progression as well, I think it's pretty special to share this moment with other people as well.
I feel that, I mean, this is a new podcast, but even with just like the episodes I've done, like I feel like I could have gone back and done things a lot better, but I'm
I,
gonna leave it up there because
yeah,
people can see,
it's a part of it. It's definitely a part of it, and you learn from your own experience as well. And rewatching stuff, you learn a lot, and yeah, I think it's great to leave stuff up because it's not only for you, but it's also for other people as well. And 100 episodes from now, when things are completely different for you, it's so cool to just go back. You know what I mean? I think it's special, very special.
yeah, you're more of an established artist at this point. I mean, this is not just like a hobby for you, but it's actually a big endeavor. So I want to ask, as someone who's newer to content creation, what is a fan? What's the boundary between a person and a fan?
I don't know. I have no idea. The word fan is a tricky one for sure. I like to refer to people that like what I make as my audience, as my supporters. Fan, I'm not a fan of that word. I'm never too shy to call myself a fan of somebody or something, but I don't necessarily like to address my people in that way. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I'm not entirely comfortable with that just yet. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And maybe, maybe at some point in the future I'll be able to go back to this moment and be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what that means." And, but not at the moment, not right now.
So the way I see what a fan is, just like by definition, it's someone that loves your work. But there's like a difference between someone you know that loves your work versus like someone you have no idea even exists. So I'm wondering if you can recall like a moment where you realized, hey, I actually have people that like love my stuff that I don't even know.
It happens every day. It happens to me every day, and it's still very mind-blowing. In the way that, I just want to make stuff that I'm proud of, and I just want to make stuff that I love, to be a fan of myself, I guess. And the fact that there are other people out there that, you're right, I don't even know, that also love what I do. I mean, every day is just, it's a mind-blowing experience, and I really hope it never goes away from me, because it, I mean, it feels amazing, and I never want to take it for granted. I feel like it's a really big driving force as well for me in terms of what I do and why I do it.
Was there like a moment in your music career that it wasn't just like people you knew that were like your big supporters, but actually people you don't know? Is there a moment that you can think back to?
I mean, yeah, like the first ever show that I did, or the first ever like live performance that I did, I had like a handful of friends there, and that was years ago. And then, the rest of them were people I didn't know, and they really liked what they heard, and they were vibing with me, and, singing along and doing all that stuff. Yeah, of course, that probably would be that moment for me. Just realizing that, you know, when you create something, you always have these doubts. Like, am I crazy? Like, this is so good. Am I just delusional? And then when you see other people feel the same way, it kind of like reassures you, like, oh yeah, like I'm not crazy, I got something here. And yeah, I mean, those moments are very special, and once again, I hope it never goes away from me, because it feels great.
So that's really interesting. Your first, I guess, moment of gaining new fans was actually a live performance. It wasn't actually like on the internet.
I mean, that was years ago. I don't know if it was fans or listeners, but it was a big moment for me
For
when I
you.
was like, oh, I make this music in my bedroom, and, I'm taking it outside for the first time, and I'm getting some kind of response, and that's great. And, it just motivated me to keep going. But in terms of the trajectory of my music career and how that all went down, yeah, it was mostly on the internet, of course. And, that's just kind of how it happens these days anyway. But yeah, I've been making music for a really long time now. I started making music. I mean, I started writing my first songs when I was like 8 years old. And I started learning about recording and production and all of that when I was like 11 years old. You know what I mean? So it's been some time, and but I only started actually actively releasing music maybe like 2018, when I felt like truly comfortable with what I was making and what I was doing. And I just posted about it on LinkedIn this morning, actually, too. A big part of being a creator, being an artist, is learning who you are. We change, we evolve, keeping up with who you become and who you are, and being truly 100% comfortable with who you are as a person and who you are as a person in your art. Because you can't, first of all, you can't 100% be authentically yourself if you don't love yourself, you know? And I feel like in order to experience some kind of success with any kind of creative endeavor, you have to be 100% yourself. At the core of it, you have to be, because there are so many people out there doing the same thing you're doing, but no one else like you. So if you try to be someone else, you're competing with someone. But if you're just yourself, there's no one for you to compete with.
Yeah, I found that theme, that disconnect between, well, that relation between your art and your work to be present in some of your songs. Like On My Way, you mentioned My Life is Surreal. I guess my question to you as an artist is, like, you put a part of yourself into your work, into your content, which your content in a way is like your ego. It's a representation, right? A distillation, but it's not you. So when you get new listeners, new fans that love your work, how do you want them to treat you, to treat the real you?
I mean, with any kind of career in the digital space, you obviously can't show 100% of yourself, not because you don't want to, or you don't have to, or you shouldn't, just because you can't really fit every aspect of your life, on camera or in the song or whatever. So, people get parts and, fragments of who you are, and then they kind of put it together and build this, picture of who you are in their head. And I'm only now learning how to kind of put my face out there more in different, sorts of ways. But for me, the goal is not to like be a superstar and, or anything like that, or it's not for people to fall in love with me. I make music and I want people to love the music and create memories, as we said before, and experience, really feel things when they listen to my music. Because for me, when I make a song, the first thing I always focus on is what I want people to feel. I kind of reverse engineer it. I start there at the end, and then I kind of make my way backwards, and with that one goal in mind.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think art is all about that, about creating that experience.
Experience is a great word. Yes, I definitely, I also like to say when I make a song, I'm building a world, and I, want things to be a certain way for this one big reason, one big purpose. And yeah, I love that.
Awesome. So let's talk about Ego, playlist one.
Yes, sir.
First of all, that's a very unique name. I mean, it gets right to the point, I think. But so I want to ask you, what do you mean by ego with that playlist?
Ego has two meanings here. The first one is, the first one has to do with it being a playlist and what that means for me. And the second one is more of like the story of the project. So it's called a playlist because it's not really an album. There's no sort of one cohesive sound. As a consumer of music, I really like all kinds of different music, all genres. There's no one specific genre I like or don't like. So if you open up my personal playlist that I listen to, there's all kinds of different stuff there. And I wanted to channel that love for music that I have as a consumer of music and, see how I can implement it in my music career for other people. I can't be alone like in this. I can't be the only one like this. So ego here means, well, do I really think I can do all these different genres and all these different sounds? And the second part of it is, this overall story of a project is kind of like a story of a failed relationship or like love, where the core theme of it is my ego in it, and how it affected different parts and points of the journey here, from the conception of this love story, the start of the relationship, and at the end, nothing really gets resolved, nothing really happens, everything stays the same. So, ego is the core theme of the story as well.
Right. The album starts with VR and ends with the song Ego, and they both have the same line in the chorus.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what you want. Play it with my heart. Don't tell me what's wrong.
Now, what comes after that's different for each song.
Yes. Yes, but still, the point behind that was for me to really show that the journey didn't lead anywhere. It just didn't happen. Nothing changed. I went through all of these things.
And you still don't know what they want.
Yeah, and nothing still changed. That means something else needs to be addressed. and that's kind of the point here. I wanted to show that not all journeys in life can lead to what you expect. And, growth and progress comes in all shapes and sizes.
Right. Like maybe on the surface, you're at where you started, but I think by the end of the album, like you have gained something, right?
Yeah, it's a different vibe. It's a different sound. It's a different texture. It's more upbeat, more positive, more aggressive in a way. So yeah, some things changed, some things didn't. And, you'll find out more on playlist 2.
Yes, we'll find out.
Yep.
So this is a line from VR. Turn off the camera. No more faking it.
Turn off the camera, no more faking it, no more living this life. Wishful thinking, this ain't paradise, guess I swallow my pride. All this back and forth.
And so in that sentence, you're referring to more than just content creation. I think you're referring to like a lifestyle. So what does it mean to, because we mentioned earlier that art, at least at its best, is about being who you are, being authentic. But in this line, it seems like content creation in some ways is more of like an escape, like not real.
That's the thing. And this line, by the way, is by Kimono Pat, the featured artist on the song. And he killed it. He did an amazing job. But, the way I interpret that is, we live in LA and, things are the way they are here. And the thing about relationships in this new kind of world that we live in, everything is public, everything is out there, people post this and that and this and that, and it does come with a certain type of pressure to showcase the highlight reel of your relationship. Oh, I'm so happy, oh, thank you for the, whatever. And even when things are not so good, people still are tempted to embellish stuff a little bit. So that's kind of how I perceive this line and how I see it. Because, it's very typical. It's very common for people to want to show only the good parts, obviously. But, you just got to understand that not everything you see on social media is 100% true, 100% real, or the way it actually is, There's a line that you can't cross in terms of like, oh, if things are really bad, don't lie and say they're good. Just don't say anything about it. Nobody is asking you to post and lie. It's cool. I like social media a lot for what it is or for what it could be. We just kind of tend to abuse it a little bit and make it into something else, where in reality, it's just for you to have fun and do things that you want to do and show things that you want to show. And you don't necessarily have to create this entire different world or life out of it.
The other side of social media.
The other side of social media, right?
Yeah, let's talk about the other side of social media, like what we want social media to be. And maybe you listened to my last podcast, we touched on this towards the end, about like ways social media can improve and sort of thinking about, hypothetically, if you had a new platform for social media, how can we design it in a way that aligns with the other side, with our ideals, with living a good life?
We already have everything we need. It's more about us individually addressing, some things about our lives and choices that we make. I don't think from like a social media point of view or like technological standpoint, I think we have everything we need and more. It's just the culture itself and, certain standards and things that we see or we just experience on social media.
I agree, we have everything we need. We can share whatever we make across dozens of platforms.
Yeah,
but I do also feel like the platform itself plays a role in how people use it. It doesn't necessarily incentivize like good usage of social media.
For sure, but you got to understand that every single platform has its own kind of language, and I think it perfectly embodies every aspect of the human experience. Like Twitter is only for complaining, and TikTok is for this, and YouTube is for that. We all do that, and we all speak those different languages in life, and I think it's perfectly normal. And in terms of the algorithm, I always tell people you shouldn't concern yourself too much with the algorithm, because the thing is, when you put too much thought into it, you sometimes leave out the most important part, and it's the content that you make and having fun with it. And when you have fun with it, people can see it and people like it. Your people will find you eventually. You just have to make sure your content is good enough and you're having fun with it, and you can be yourself and you can be creative and you can open up and you can experiment and do different things with it. But we're just too caught up in shadow banned and the algorithm, this and that, and the FYP and hashtags and all of that. That stuff is important, but it doesn't matter as much as the content that you make. Your people will find you, and if you make a video that you think is great but it's not doing well, keep posting it. Keep posting it, the same video every day, maybe every other day. Try different platforms. Try, see what sticks. But you have to focus on the content, the creative part first. If that's not in place, you can have the best hashtags and, optimize your video crazy, and a million people maybe see it. But if they don't sense that authentic energy and it's not high quality content, that's not going to do anything for you. And you can have 2,000 views that are high quality views, and people go and listen to your show, listen to your song, watch your video, subscribe to your channel, follow you, and you can have 1 million viewers that don't care. That's the difference.
Totally. Quality over quantity.
Well, it's a tricky balance of quality and quantity. Let me put it that way. And when I say quality, I don't mean like 4K, blurry background, great sound. I mean, it's also important, but not as important as high quality content in the way that it says something. It communicates something, and it makes people feel something. Maybe you're entertaining people, making them laugh. That's value. Or, anything. Or maybe it's something for them to think about. Or maybe you're teaching them something or showing them something they've never seen before. That's value. As long as there's core value underneath all of that, that's quality content to me.
Right. And when someone sees that value and that quality, and they really see it, then I guess that's when you've earned a fan.
Yeah, when they see that you can improve their life somehow, even if just a little bit, if you're making them laugh or teaching them something, if they feel like their life is just a little better after watching it, of course they're going to love it. Of course they're going to want to see more. And that's kind of what you have to think about when you make content. But you can't think too hard. You got to try a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. You actually make more than just music. You're talking about how you actually make courses, right? English lesson courses.
Yeah. So English is not my first language. I had to learn it in order to move here and pursue my dream of being an American music artist. You know what I mean? So music is my first love, 100%. But without English, there would be no music for me. And I'm very grateful to the language. And I want to give back to the language by, kind of helping people learn it in the way that no one really helped me. So, I'm still very salty about it. And that is the main motivation behind me kind of breaking it down and really helping people in the way that I wish, someone had helped me when I was doing it. And people really like it. People really like my approach. People, I went ahead and got certified as an English teacher and, all of that. I feel like every time I put out like an educational video or a course or someone, graduates my course, I feel like the 14-year-old me is like coming to me to shake my hand. Thank you. You know what I mean? That's kind of like a feeling that I can't live without. I want to make sure the kid version of me is proud of me now. And that's just one of those things.
So where can people find you in your English courses?
Yeah, so if English is not your first language and you want to learn it, or maybe if English is your first language and you still want to learn it, you can go on linguatrip.com and find online courses. That tab when we have all kinds of different courses in terms of pronunciation or like grammar, all kinds of different stuff. And, I also have a couple of social media accounts as well that are only English related, which is English with Venya Pak on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook, and English with Linguatrip as well, another channel that I have on YouTube. That's pretty much it.
Linguatrip.com. It's a great name.
Yep, it kind of it communicates the mission, very clearly, I feel like.
You've been on quite the trip yourself. I mean,
That's true.
you didn't start out here in America,
I did not.
so the audience might not know, but you're actually from Russia.
Yes, I was born and raised in Russia in kind of like the western part of Siberia. Gets really cold, yes. And yeah, Russian is actually my native language, so I had to learn English to, be here and do this with you.
This podcast is too short to talk about your experience in Russia, but I just want to get a general idea about what it was like growing up in Russia, especially as like an Asian Russian. Well, now you're Asian American, but
Yeah, I mean, cold, of course, but mostly it was good overall. It's so corny to say that, and I hate saying that, but I really, really mean it. Growing up, I never felt like I was 100% comfortable, and I was able to be 100% myself. The times are different now, of course, but back then it was, a very different story and a different kind of vibe and landscape. So I kind of grew up with, American music, American TV, and all of that. And yeah, but overall, it was good. I had a decent childhood. I had fun, went to school, got in trouble, all of that. And it was cool. It was really nice.
so in the end, it was your upbringing with like American media that
Yeah.
brought you around.
Pretty much. And, also the fact that I was the only Asian kid in my town didn't help either,
It's kind of wild.
I mean, that's a whole different side of the story and trauma that, maybe we don't have time for today. But yeah, it was a different experience for sure. But at the same time, people are the same and different at the same time. We're all driven by the same things. We all pursue the same things. We all have similar, values and morals. And, it could be a different language and a different culture, but at the core of it all, we're all the same people.
Right. So do you think you found your LA calling?
For sure, yeah. The moment I landed and, met people and stuff like that, very early on, I was like, oh, I feel good here. Like, I feel good here. I feel good in this sort of society. And, yeah, it just felt right. It definitely felt right. Now, I've made a different discovery now, too, because I am half Russian, half Korean. But I wasn't fortunate enough to be raised with, a lot of my Korean culture and my roots and the language specifically. So now in my adult life, now that I started exploring my Korean roots more and, learning the language and kind of like studying and observing the culture and stuff like that, it's different level of like, I feel like this is exactly what I was meant to do.
Mhm.
It's just, once again, very corny and I hate it, but I didn't even know something was missing. Something so major was missing from my life. And now I just feel fulfilled pursuing that. And it just feels really good. I'm very excited. And yeah, sometimes you don't even know what you're missing.
Was it just being around like Koreatown that evoked that?
I've always had these ideas, but never had the time to do it or the energy to do it. And I still don't. But I was like, okay, enough. I'm just going to figure it out. I'm just start and figure it out.
Right. So you're learning Korean now,
Yeah.
going to Korea.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Going to Korea later this year for the first time ever, which I'm very excited about.
Sweet. So I think a common theme in this podcast that I'm going to probably touch on in every episode is, first of all, how can we make the digital space better? And second of all, like we have the internet now and all its wonderful gifts. And, everything's just out there. Like, literally everything.
Yeah.
It's out there.
In your pocket.
So it's like the access is there, but just in general, like people aren't being connected with the right opportunities a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to help make an internet where like people can actually get more value out of their interaction with being online.
Yeah.
And you're right. And we mentioned earlier that like we have all we need technologically, and sometimes it's about us.
Yeah.
But surely there are ways that the designers of internet platforms can actually encourage people to maximize their potential and benefit.
I think first of all, we need to make sure it's and we're already kind of there and working on making it better, but first of all, we have to make sure it's a safe place to be and stop rewarding certain is this a PG podcast, or can I curse?
You can curse.
Yeah. We need to stop rewarding the fucked up shit that we see on the internet. And if you see something really bad, don't repost it. Why are you giving it attention? And I think we need to work on that personally, in terms of just giving a lot of attention and allowing some messed up stuff to get as big as it could get sometimes. And
just like not rewarding spreading negativity.
Exactly, yeah. Which kind of like cuts into the whole freedom of speech thing. So that's tricky. You know what I mean? That's very tricky to navigate.
It's touchy, but at the end of the day, like reward and restriction aren't the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And it's so easy for something really stupid to go viral. I feel like a lot of us content creators, we know exactly what to do to go viral. And some of us just choose not to do it because it doesn't really align with like our brands and what the message we want to put out.
Right.
I can go do something crazy right now and I can go viral tomorrow, but I'm not going to do that because that's not what I want. Going viral is actually one of the worst things that can happen to you. You tend to go viral for things that, you don't want to do, and then you're forced to keep doing it. That's just the pattern. But in terms of that, I feel like we just as people have to address certain things that certain habits, social media habits that we have in terms of reposting really negative stuff for no reason. It's one thing to spread awareness, and it's a completely different thing to just be like, oh, look, this is so messed up. If there's no specific message you're trying to communicate, don't repost negative stuff, and I'm not talking about like crime or anything that we need to bring awareness to. It's more about just like, oh, this guy did a really mean, cruel public prank. Don't stop reposting that then. We don't need to give it attention. And I think it starts and ends with us and how we consume media and our habits and what we do on social media, our social media lives. We have to clean that up and declutter and reorganize and rethink certain things, because we have two lives now. We have a real one and an online one, no matter if you're an influencer or not. And just like you want to break certain bad habits and get some new healthy ones in your real life, you have to do that same thing on social media as well. Clean it up, open your explore page, see what comes up. That can definitely say a lot about you. I think we just have to be more conscious and more conscious and more aware of what we do on social media and how we live our social media lives.
Very profound insights, Venya. It was great having you on the show.
Of course, thanks for having me. The pleasure's all mine. And to everyone who's listening, thank you so much for listening and watching. And I guess enjoy more of this podcast. And if you also want to find me on social media, listen to my music, see if you like it, you can find me at VeeAlwaysHere, VEE Always Here, across all platforms.
There you have it. VeeAlwaysHere.
All right, thank you.
I don't know what you want. You don't know anything about me at all. Maybe you should have known that we should probably try a little harder to do more. I don't know what you want.